Welcome to eAssist Growing Your Dental Business Podcast. Tune in as the experts in dental business share tips and tools to grow your practice. To learn more, visit dentalbilling.com. Please welcome our next guest.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Growing Your Dental Business Podcast. I'm your host, Jacquelyn Hurley, and today I am truly honored to welcome someone who is the pioneer in the dental industry and has been a guiding voice for quite some time. I have known this person for a long time. I'm excited to welcome Mary Govoni. She is an internationally recognized speaker, a consultant. She is the co-host of the Compliance Divas Podcast, where she and her colleagues share updates on infection control, OSHA, HIPAA, and regulatory trends that impact all of us in dentistry. I would love to put a link to that in our show notes so that you can be kept up to date on some of those things that Mary specializes in. She brings over 50 years of experience in dentistry. She's been a certified dental assistant and a registered dental hygienist. So she's worked in several capacities of the dental office. She's worked in both general and specialty practices. She's been a dental assisting educator, and she's even owned a dental staffing service. Throughout her career, she's established herself as a trusted advisor for enhancing safety protocols, streamlining compliance, and enabling teams to work smarter, not harder, through ergonomics and efficiency. I have heard her speak at many of the major dental meetings. She's a published author for professional journals and a coach for dental practices nationwide. Mary, it is such a privilege to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Jacquelyn. It is my honor. You and I have been together working in the industry for many years, and it's always such a pleasure to see you and be with you. I'm thrilled.
Oh, you're so sweet. And it has been a while. I know we met when I was at Solution Reach, and it's been a treat to follow your journey ever since. So thank you for joining me today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
I'd love to start with a challenge that many practices are facing right now. You know a lot about dentists being short-staffed, and you've seen this issue from every angle as a clinician, educator, and running your own staffing service. How are these staffing shortages impacting dental practices today?
Do we have enough time to talk about all of those things? I am happy to say that I'm glad I'm the former owner of the staffing service. I cannot imagine that type of a business today that is just so difficult to find good people with experience. And dentists everywhere, I hear it, everyone's hearing it, that they can't find people. I think one unfortunate thing that's happened over the years is that, and I don't mean this to be demeaning to doctors because I have great respect for them, but they haven't always developed the best reputation as being good bosses or easy to work for. And so there's that part of it. And of course, COVID just blew everything, people being afraid or just burned out. And right now, many people have, even though the jobs market lately is kind of unstable, younger people have other options to find work where they can get better benefits than in a dental practice. That's a big challenge for employers. It's so expensive for these doctors to provide healthcare to their employees. I'm not sure that the employees completely understand or respect that, but dentistry or healthcare in general is not always viewed as a glamorous or a cool kind of job. It's just difficult all the way around. What I see happening with these challenges, doctors not finding hygienists or assistants or administrative team members, is that certain tasks are not getting completed or they're not getting completed in a timely fashion. People are skipping steps, or there's what I call legacy training happening where someone trains an inexperienced person, but maybe that someone who's doing the training isn't providing the correct training to this person. They just teach them what they've always done. It may be improper coding. It might be improper instrument sterilization. The result of that doesn't show up immediately, but eventually it does in the bottom line that all of these issues have an effect on cash flow. And when I was in graduate school, and I remember so distinctly the finance professor standing in the front of the room the first day of the semester saying, these are the words you need imprinted in your brain. Cash is king. When it's true in dentistry, we need to be able to pay the bills, keep the lights on, and pay the salaries. And so if team members, and what team member doesn't want to have a pay raise, they need to be part of the solution to increase the profitability of the practice to make that happen.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I remember sitting through a speaker once who his whole speaker was everyone's in sales, even the hygienist, even the assistant. You need to be in a situation where you can prove value, but also bring in that cash flow needed to keep the dentistry running. One thing you talked about is how things aren't getting done. And that kind of affects, obviously, patient care. That affects compliance. That affects even overall team morale. Can you talk about those things happening with the shortage of staff members?
Absolutely. The biggest issue is that it's definitely affecting morale. Many team members who are working in a situation where they're short-staffed feel like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they're working more hours. They're coming in early. They're staying late. They're skipping lunches so they can get things done. And they just feel like the gerbil on the treadmill. They keep going around and around, but not everything is getting done. And the problem is when their morale is low or they're stressed and not at their best, they tend to make mistakes. We don't want that to happen because it results in financial issues, infection control, infectious disease transmission, something like that. But what does it look like to the patient? What is the patient experiencing? If they're coming in and everybody is stressed and everybody is tense and they're, trying to multitask, do, 3 or 4 things at one time, and that patient doesn't get their attention that they want, because we all want to be treated as if we're the only person there and the most important person. When tasks aren't done appropriately, patients get upset. If you don't get a phone call back from maybe the scheduler or the appointment coordinator, that patient has to call you and say, hey, you told me you were going to call me and you didn't. It doesn't give them a great feeling of confidence about the practice. So what we want is for the team to be less stressed, have confidence that someone or something, which is where your services come into play, that someone has their back. I would love this burden of doing the insurance billing relieved from my shoulders, so then I can interface with the patients. And I need someone because I don't have the expertise to go out and negotiate a contract with a PPO, an insurance provider. So, wow, those services are available, where back in my day in the practice, we did it all ourselves and we weren't always the best at it. Now we have experts that can help us do these things.
That's amazing. There are a lot of specialized services that can help team morale, help them feel like they don't have to do it all anymore, or help them feel like they can give that patient, even the one on the phone or the one standing in front of them, their undivided attention. And I know you mentioned, some of our services, eAssist, Practice Booster, and Unitas are all about revenue cycle management. I love that we can help with that, because the ultimate goal, like you said, is to reduce stress on the team, help them be more confident when it comes to their patients, make sure their patients feel like they're the only one that's maybe standing there or waiting for them to call them back or whatever is happening. And I just feel like it does improve those efficiencies in the practice. So thank you for talking about that, because the ultimate goal is for these teams to focus more on patient care.
It is. I just had a conversation yesterday with a doctor who has a technology company creating patient portals for patients to interact. There's been this mindset among dental professionals that patients want that personal touch. They want us to call them to confirm their appointment. I don't believe they do. I want a text. Just give me the facts, tell me, and I can type in, yes, I'm coming, or no, I need to reschedule. Think of all the paperwork we want our patients to complete, especially as a new patient. A health history, a little bit of dental history, and HIPAA compliance forms, and how do we communicate with you? What about your insurance information? There are services that can have an interaction with the patients online where they can get all that done before they come to the practice. The days of telling patients, show up 15 minutes early so you can fill out the paperwork are done.
Right.
I want to sit down at my computer at home, and then I can answer all the questions and update my health history if I'm a recare patient. It's all done when they come in. We make it seamless, just like outsourcing billing to an expert in coding. Then we don't have those rejected claims for the most part because we didn't code it correctly or stay within the parameters of that particular plan. All of those glitches that we have that make it inefficient and not that seamless experience are memorable to each and every patient. The one thing that I always remember from the great and wonderful Linda Miles is that when something goes wrong, people are going to tell about 14 people. If everything goes great, they may tell one or two, but they may be very meaningful referrals. They're really sort of anti-referrals if they're saying negative things. Do you know how long I had to wait? I had to fill out all this paperwork, and it was so complicated, and they never get my insurance billing right, and those kinds of things that patients don't like. And we need to make it better for them.
There's a mindset that it's like, well, we can do this on our own. Maybe we're weak if we need outside help. What are your thoughts on that? And what would you tell an admin person that, trust me, you're not weak if we bring in an outside source or a third-party dental billing company?
That is not a sign of weakness. That is a sign of good delegation. And I was guilty of that myself. I have my own business and I always did my own tech support, but there reached a level where the technology became more complicated. It was way above my level of expertise. So I had to reach out, and it made all the difference in the world because I had peace of mind knowing it's a phone call away to someone. We like to think we can do it all ourselves, but if people actually tracked the amount of time that they spent doing it themselves and perhaps resubmitting a claim, or not even having a clue what to do to appropriately negotiate a contract, you'd be amazed. If you looked at that person's salary for that amount of time, they're probably saving money by outsourcing that work to the experts in the first place. It just makes the practice look better. And there's this sigh of relief knowing that somebody does have my back. Somebody takes care of this for me, so I don't have to.
I love that. The goal is to realize that it's not a weakness. There is a strategy for strength and sustainability when you outsource some things. When you talked about negotiating those contracts like Unitas does, the thing I love about their service is they help with credentialing, which is probably the number one reason claims are denied or not getting through. They're not clean. Cool that they do is they kind of look at the patient base and think, okay, I have this many patients that are on this insurance plan, this many patients that are on this insurance plan. They're in plan with this provider, but they don't have any patients there. So we probably should drop that provider, negotiate these other two and see if we can't get better fees and reimbursement in place. There's so much to be said about the knowledge that a company brings to the table when they come in and help with those things.
Absolutely. I think about the practices I interact with for HIPAA and OSHA compliance that they don't have the time to spend like I would. They don't have the time to spend like I would or I do researching what are the rules changes, what does that mean, what do I need to do to be in compliance. The Unitas folks, the practice booster, boosting that revenue cycle, they are the experts. That's what they do. That's all they do. And the person, the administrative person in the dental office believes they can do all that, plus check in and check out the patients, do statements and all the other things they're doing. And those days are gone. We are not the little cottage industry that dentistry used to be. We are a complex, small or large business, because we see many more group practices and larger practices now. So we need to rely on the experts to make us more efficient, more effective, and to be happier about what we do.
I love that. Your insights today remind me that, efficiency isn't just about productivity. It's really too about protecting your teams. You think of compliance and all the things you can mess up on if you're trying to do everything yourself. It's about your practice health. It's about the patients. Is there anything else that you'd like to add today? You specialize in OSHA and a lot of detailed things that practices need to know more about. Is there anything that you would like to share about how you can help practices with what you do, Mary?
Sure. Thank you. I think it's always good to have that outside evaluation, someone to come in and look at how things are being done in a practice, and not to be critical and say, oh, you're doing everything wrong, but to say, have you ever thought about one of the things that we're seeing a lot right now are practices that are incorporating 3D printing into their practices. Somehow in purchasing the equipment and getting it up and running, they're not thinking about some very important things. Number one, do you have good ventilation around that? Because you have some pretty toxic materials that are being produced, like very flammable alcohols and dusts from the plastics that are being used. Having somebody come in and take a look at that and say, hey, have you thought about this? Or maybe you're loading your sterilizer incorrectly. I had an email from someone today saying none of the color change indicators are working on our couches. What's going on? Well, let's go and troubleshoot it. So having a trusted source to go to and say, this is going wrong, or why is it taking so long for my claims to be paid? And what can I do to speed that up? That's really what I look at as the value of a consultant to a practice.
Thank you for sharing that. So let's just talk about how's the best way to get a hold of you. Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom with our listeners today. I just feel like you bring so much to the table when it comes to, not just efficiency. We've talked a lot about that today, and your team, stress and all of that. But when it comes to compliance and safety, what are just tell me some of the things that you would like to share, the best way to get a hold of you so that you can actually help a practice as well.
Sure. Thank you. The best way to get a hold of me is by email. And my email is Mary@MaryGovoni, GOVONI.com. You can text me 517-214-8223. Just put eAssist in the text so I know where the message is coming from. That'll be a quick reference for me. I would encourage your listeners to listen to the Compliance Divas podcast, and you can subscribe on our website, thecompliancedivas.com. It's free, and we publish a new topic every week. We've got 4 experts with varying experiences in dentistry, including our beloved Diva Olivia Wan, who's an attorney, plus a compliance expert and a former dental office manager. We think we've got a pretty broad spectrum of experience there.
I was looking at that today thinking you guys cover a lot of important topics that are in the dental, like I'm sure the dental team, the dentist is thinking a lot about things that, or maybe that they're not thinking about. You bring up, things that they're maybe not thinking about and ways that you can help them. And I really love that about your podcast. So thanks for sharing that.
One thing that came to my mind as you were talking about Unitas and credentialing, that's a compliance topic that we maybe need to have you or someone from Unitas come in and be a guest on our podcast, because we're hearing about practices that are getting caught up in the I didn't credential my new associate trap, and it's not good.
It takes a lot of time to credential. So if you can have an outside company like Unitas take that off your plate for sure, because there's a lot involved in credentialing those new providers. I think that would be a fantastic idea. I would love to hook you up with Unitas and see if you can get them on your podcast.
Fabulous.
Thank you, Mary, for joining us today. If today's conversation resonated with you and you would like to, and you realize that you don't want to do it all alone, we talked a little bit about partners of Mary's like eAssist Dental Solutions, Practice Booster, and Unitas PPO Solutions. These companies exist to help practices run more smoothly, just like Mary does as well. Thank you again for joining us. This has been the Growing Your Dental Business podcast. I'm Jacquelyn Hurley. And until next time, here's to less stress, more success, and building the kind of dental practice where both patients and teams can thrive. Mary, any last words before we say goodbye today?
No, other than thank you so much for the opportunity. It's always great to work with you, Jacquelyn. And I think that you all are doing such a fabulous job supporting dental practices. It's just amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you again in person.
Me too.
The purpose of this podcast is to interview the consultants within our eAssist Consultant Network. This podcast is for informational purposes only. For more details, please visit the homepage of this podcast platform at dentalbilling.com. Thanks for listening.